Shacked and footsore, Raiden marches with Asura's army a few days from Stormhold.
Are we there yet?
No.
How about now?
Please stop talking.
Out of the corner of Raiden's eye, he spots a white horse cantering around the army's rear ranks. On its back rides the Empress's daughter, Leah.
Good morning, Raiden.
A fine morning to you as well, Your Highness.
You may entrust the prisoner to me.
Much as it pains me. Your Highness, I have orders.
As do I. From my mother.
The guard bows and marches ahead to join the rest of the army.
That was a lie.
I am becoming a bad influence on you.
As they march, Leah steers her horse into a steady trot alongside Raiden. His chains clink gently as he reaches up to pat the horse's flank.
Are you enjoying your walking tour of the 5 kingdoms?
Yes, but, Raiden, are many people going to die soon?
In the battle, it is likely so, I'm afraid.
Is there any chance Queen Kenna will surrender?
I think that is doubtful. Kenna is proud and fierce. It took her 2 years, countless wounds, and the lives of dear friends to reclaim Stormhold.
My mother says power is built on sacrifice, but...
Leah glances around.
But she never sacrificed anything! Everyone else does it for her!
You referring to the life your mother must take each day to retain her power?
It's not just for power.
What do you mean?
When my mother consumes the lives of others, it prolongs her life. She uses them to preserve her youth.
Are you telling me your mother doesn't age, Leah? How old is the Empress?
I don't know. She's been Empress since the King of Mosari died.
Marosi hasn't had a king in 1,000 years. Gods, if Azura is that old, then she's been behind every war between the Empire and the 5 kingdoms. I have to know more.
I'm not sure I should be talking about this.
Please, I must know.
Well, I don't know the whole story, but I'll try. What would you like to know?
Tell me about Azura's origins.
I don't know much about my mother's early life. No one is alive who remembers, and my mother doesn't speak of it, but I know a little about where she came from. They called it the Stormlands. It's a great desert, south of Mosari, where there once lived others.
Other what? Other people like your mother?
There was no one like my mother, but there were others who could control the lightning.
What happened to them?
I don't know. Sickness maybe, or perhaps they went somewhere. All I know is, once they were many, then there were few.
And now there is one.
What else would you like to know?
Tell me about how Azura became Empress.
At some point, my mother came north to Mosari, a city ruled by an arrogant king. Loathed by his own people, he challenged my mother to a game of riddles. If she won, the king would relinquish the crown, but if he won, my mother would have to marry him.
A riddle contest? That sounds like quite a fantastic story.
I keep my life, and you keep my kingdom? You're mad!
Is it madness for me to offer you mercy? Your people might say so.
What do you know of ruling?
I know that they despise you. I know that they whisper in taverns and dark alleyways of a coming revolution. Bow to me, wise king, and I can heal this angry city.
I will not bend for some pale deserted hag.
Tell me, O wise one, do you know what happens when a proud tree that refuses to bend meets a storm?
It breaks, but the king was unable to answer her riddle, so he conceded defeat and surrendered his crown.
And then I suppose he went away into the countryside and was never heard from again?
Yes, They say he lived out his life as a happily humbled hermit.
Quite a tiddy ending, isn't it? And rather strange for a king to gamble his entire kingdom on a game. If one didn't know better, one might wonder whether the story was simply made up.
I suppose so.
What happened next?
My mother traveled to each of the ancient kingdoms, facing similar challenges from similar kings, and besting each one. With every tale of victory, her subjects grew to love her even more, and so the Queen of Marosi was crowned Empress of Dushitora.
I see.
What else would you like to know?
Tell me about Azura's first invasion.
Several hundred years ago, my mother traveled to the Black Spine Mountains to share Dushitora's prosperity, but she was met with
resistance.
My people have no need of your rule or your threats.
Your people live hard lives. They shiver and starve in huts of stone and straw. Please let me help.
My people neither starve nor shiver, and we do not need the help of some fool who deems herself a god.
I am a god.
Why? Because of that power you wield? If that's the case, then we are all gods here.
The fire tribes attacked my mother's gods. Fearing for their safety, she retreated back across the sea.
That is one way to interpret it.
What do you mean?
Well, do you imagine the fire tribes tell the story the same way?
No. In their version, they're probably the heroes.
Go on.
They would probably say that my mother attacked the 5 kingdoms and the fire tribes drove her away.
And soon after, the fire tribes began to disappear.
I've never heard anything about that.
No, you wouldn't have.
What else would you like to know?
Tell me about Azura's second invasion.
50 years ago, my mother came offering peace to the leaders of the 5 kingdoms. First, she met with Hector Navagras.
Luther's grandfather! I can't imagine how that went!
I must say, the famous Nevraki's hospitality leaves much to be desired.
You march into my home, deliver an ultimatum, and expect, what, tea and cake?
It is not an ultimatum, simply a promise, which I have made to countless other rulers before you, and kept.
And what promise is that?
I will deliver your people untold prosperity, with or without you.
So, it's kneel or die then. Both such appealing options. But you know, I think I've got a better idea. Why don't you saunter back down to the docks, get on your ship, and take that bony white arse back where it came from?
And why would I do that?
Because right about now, my fleet will be sailing into Marosi and turning their cannons on that pretty princess cottage you call a castle.
What?
How's that for Neverkiss hospitality?
And I suppose your people say that Hector Nevrakis rejected the Empress' gracious terms, thereby starting a war that has lasted for decades.
Yes.
It's a pity the whole world doesn't just bow to your mother outright and save themselves a whole lot of trouble.
What else would you like to know?
Tell me about the recent history.
For the past 50 years, the Navrakis of Abanthus have led a war against Dushitora, sometimes here. Sometimes here. And so, my mother retreated behind the walls of Mosri to fortify her people until the day we can end this war, once and for all.
And Luther Nevrakis conquered the continent to do the same. Leah, these stories your people tell, you don't truly believe them, do you?
I used to.
But you don't anymore?
I don't know. Sometimes it's like the emperors they talk about in the stories, and the one I know are two different people, and the one in the stories never takes innocent lives. But these stories, my people do believe them, and sometimes I think my mother does, too.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Leah stares down at her horse and collects her thoughts.
Alpha and Aros Atlem.
What did you say?
What? Oh, it's something my mother says, and kind of oath. It means for every life, a purpose.
Leah, that language, is it ancient Irithi? Can you read it?
Yes, my mother taught me.
Maneuvering around his chains, he reaches beneath his shirt and pulls out the anti-magic text he took from the Feudorian library.
Can you translate this?
I can try.
Raiden hands the book up to Leah. She opens the page he marked and begins to read.
And the shepherd spake, saying, Turn thee away, almighty storm, for this flock is mine. And the storm did reply, saying,
Leah's brow furrows in confusion.
Raiden, what is this?
This book contains a way to stop your mother's power.
What? I don't... Raiden, whatever this is, I can't...
Leah's hands fidget. Her gaze darts nervously back and forth as she readies the rein to ride away.
Leah, the truth is, I am here as a spy for Stormhold.
What?
Come now, little fox. Don't act so surprised.
I think I knew all along.
Of course you did. You're a smart girl. You're also kind and compassionate. Which is why I hope you will help me stop your mother from hurting a lot of people.
Leah runs her hand over the book. She bites her lip.
If I do this, my mother will know. Somehow. She always does. And I'll be held responsible.
That's true. And if you do nothing, no one will ever know. No one but you.
She shuts her eyes. Then, blinking away tears, she nods.
Oh, okay. I'll do it.
Leah hides the book in her horse's saddlebags.
It will take some time, but I'll do what I can.
Thank you, Leah.
Leah beams at Raiden, then turns to ride away. Suddenly,
Attack!
the air erupts with the sound of screams and clashing swords.
What's going on?
It's an ambush. They've broken through the lines. Protect the...
The army's right flank falls apart as a platoon of Stormhold riders bursts through, half-armed by Joran charging in on a steel grey stallion. The rest break off to attack the litter, carrying Empress Azura.
Come on!
Raiden leads Leah's horse towards Azura, but a wedge of Stormhold riders reach her first.
Kill the witch! You may try!
Bursting from behind the curtains, Azura slashes a hand through the air. Tongues of lightning crack like whips, striking friend and foe alike.
Why are they attacking us? Surely they know they can't win.
Those men aren't armed for an ambush. There must be a scouting party, caught in the wrong place and unable to retreat.
So, they charged instead?
Brave fools! I've got to create a distraction so the Stormhold soldiers can escape. I should...
Raiden, look out!
Raiden's thoughts are cut short as a second squad explodes through the rear lines. A Stormhold soldier gallops straight at him.
Raiden! You... Get away from him!
A flash of white light leaps from Leah's hand, striking the soldier in the chest. He says on his horse, but stays mounted.
It's another witch!
Get her!
The soldiers close in on Leah. Leah crackles feebly as she struggles to summon her power again.
Leah, run!
The soldiers startle back as Leah's horse rears, wheels around, and breaks into a sprint.
After her! We can't let her escape!
The soldiers charge after Leah, but before Raiden gives chase, a towering figure looms before him, astride a dark horse.
Hello, traitor.
Jackson, you have terrible timing.
On the contrary, I'd say my timing is perfect.
He drops from the saddle and rips his sword from its sheath.
To gut a traitor.
Jackson advances, dropping into a fighting stance. A dozen soldiers join him. He clenches his shackled fists.
I have to get away and rescue Leah, but I can't do it without harming Kenna's soldiers.
Jackson charges. He slashes at his head. Raiden ducks the attack and whirls to face him.
Jackson, please!
Be quiet.
He lunges for Raiden's chest. He dodges a strike, driving across the muddy ground and stumbles to feet.
Enough of this. Get him!
Jackson's men begin to close in around Raiden. Out of the corner of his eye, he spots Jackson's horse.
You don't mind if I borrow these, do you?
Raiden swings into the saddle and takes off after Leah.
Yeah!
Raiden follows the dust and the sound of beating hooves into the copse of trees.
There!
Ahead on the path, Raiden can just make out the distant shape of the riders.
After her!
Faster! Ha!
Raiden's horse snorts in protest as the Stormhold soldiers loom closer and closer.
Huh?
The rearmost rider spots Raiden. Twisting in the saddle, he raises a bow. Raiden's horse veers to the side, and the arrow whistles past.
Is that all you've got?
Suddenly, the path veers around a blind curve, and Raiden loses sight of the Stormhold soldiers.
Hells.
Raiden's horse draws up short. Before him, the path splits in two directions. He spurs his horse down to the right path, and the Stormhold riders spring immediately into view.
Foul.
Raiden charges right into their midst. A Stormhold rider draws his sword and slashes.
Your horse seems tired. Why don't you give him a rest?
Drawing his hidden dagger, Raiden slices one of the rider's saddle straps. He flails, struggling to stay mounted as Raiden surges to the head of the pack. Ahead, the path breaks out into a clearing. A riderless horse with a sprained ankle limps at the edge of the tree line. He spots Leah on foot, running.
Leah!
Raiden!
Raiden leaps down from his horse, and Leah throws her arms around his neck, sobbing. In the distance, he hears hoofbeats approaching.
They're still coming! What do we do?
Follow me, quickly!
Leah clings to his wrist as Raiden runs for the edge of the clearing. Beneath the gnarled roots of an ancient tree, he huddles together in silence.
I found their horses!
This way! They can't have gone far.
Raiden hears footsteps through the underbush as the soldiers fan out and search.
Raiden!
Shh!
Sirius, my horse, he hurt his ankle.
He's a strong horse. He'll survive, and so will we.
Beneath the tree roots, Raiden lies still. Leah trembles next to him as the footsteps of the soldiers grow closer and closer, until...
Men, to me!
Raiden hears footsteps receding. Peeking from his hiding spot, he glimpses Jackson on a stolen horse.
The Empire's riders are coming! We have to retreat!
The soldiers mount their horses and take off in a hurry. Jackson lingers, glaring into the tree line.
Raiden, I don't know what game you're playing, but this isn't over.
Jackson, I did my best not to harm them. I hope you'll see that someday.
Jackson's words echo across the forest. He scowls, spurs his horse, and rides off.
Are they gone? Are we safe?
Raiden emerges from his hiding place to the sight of the Empire's riders approaching.
For now.
Later that evening, back at the army's encampment.
Come, pretty boy. The Empress requests your presence.
Of course.
Outside Azura's tent, Raiden passes by two soldiers carrying out a dead attendant. The soldier elbows him jovially, like an old friend.
Ah, the Empress's sacrifice. She'll be in a generous mood. Good news for the hero who rescued her daughter, eh?
Yes, good news.
Raiden pushes through the flap and enters the tent. Inside, several attendants bustle about, preparing Azura for bed.
Excellent timing. Jorin was just filling me in on the outcome of today's attack.
The last of the Stormhold soldier have been rounded up and executed, Your Radiance.
And their captain?
I'm afraid he and a small squad eluded us.
No matter. Their deaths will come soon enough.
Azura turns and regards Raiden, grinning from ear to ear. He's never seen her so happy.
All of you, leave us.
The attendants bow and depart. As Joran heads for the exit, he stops in front of Raiden, respect and lingering distrust warring on his face.
Realm Rat, you did well today.
He awkwardly offers his hand, clenching his teeth. Raiden shakes Joran's hand for exactly as long as necessary before he departs.
Come here. I wish to thank you, personally.
Azura slides a hand under his chin, lifting his lips to hers. Her kiss is soft and tender, with just a hint of something hungrier.
And now, I would thank you as your Empress for your bravery in the face of peril. I grant your freedom.
Azura unlocks his manacles, slides them to his wrists, and casts them aside.
You honor me, Your Radiance.
And I have another honor to bestow. Kneel before me.
Raiden kneels at Azura's feet.
Now rise, Lord Raiden of Stormhold.
I thank you, Your Radiance. I look forward to claiming the castle after tomorrow's battle.
Azura chuckles.
Is something funny?
Lord Raiden, there will be no battle. My finest assassins set out for Stormhold this morning. Kenner will die at dusk.
Blood pounds in his ears as her words sink in. He glances outside at the setting sun.
Is something the matter, Lord Raiden?
Forgive me, Your Radiance. It has been a trying day. With your permission, I would take my leave and rest.
Of course.
Raiden bows and leaves Azura's tent. The moment he's out of sight, he starts running.
I have to get to Stormhold and warn Kenna.
At the encampment's other edges, he finds the horses tethered and grabs the first one. Then he hears footsteps behind him.
You're leaving, aren't you?
Raiden turns to find Leah, standing all alone, holding an anti-magic text.
I am.
Because you're a spy. And this was all a trick.
It was?
Even rescuing me?
Raiden places his hands on Leah's shoulders.
Leah, you're a wonderful person, and I helped you because that's what friends do for one another. But your mother wants to kill my friends and a great many others. I can't allow that.
I understand, and I want to help.
She hands Raiden the book.
I translated for you. It's full of spells for disrupting different kinds of magic. I marked the ones that should be effective against my mother.
Thank you, Leah.
Raiden musses Leah's pretty white hair into a disheveled mop and winks at her.
Ha! Raiden, I have a favor to ask.
What is it?
Leah bites her lips, hesitating, then blurts it out.
Take me with you.
To Stormhold?
I want more than all this. I want excitement and adventure and friends, and I don't want to hurt people or stand by and watch my mother do the same. I want to help Raiden, however I can.
I see, but it could be dangerous. Let's go.
Truly?
Yes, child, but quickly. We must reach Stormhold before nightfall.
Raiden pulls Leah into the saddle, spurs his horse, and steers off towards Stormhold. Miles of flat terrain disappear behind as the sun sinks into the sky. The amber waves of the borderlands slowly give way to the highland greens.
Raiden, what is Stormhold like?
Stormhold is green and happy and free, and it will remain so if we make it in time.
Leah's hand clutches the saddle horn, knuckles white with worry, then her brow furrows with stubborn determination.
We'll make it. We have to.
That's the spirit.
By the time Raiden reaches Stormhold, Daylight is failing. He dismounts near the stables.
Wait here and hide. When it's safe, I'll come back for you.
What if you don't come back?
I will.
Raiden hurries towards the castle. Creeping along the base of the walls, he comes to a familiar hidden passage, but finds the door already open.
The assassins! They're here!
Raiden's frantic feet carry him up the secret stairs and corridors, all the way to Kenna's quarters. As he slides in through the door, he spies a sleeping figure beneath the blankets.
Thank the gods! I made it in time!
But as Raiden approaches, he realizes the figure isn't breathing.
Kenna!
Raiden clutches his weapon and yanks back the covers, but all he finds is pillows. Suddenly, he feels the cold rasp of a blade sliding under his throat.
Welcome home, traitor.